I'm Ajit Hatti. I'm founder of Pure ID and co-founder of Null Community and Nullcon. I'm presenting Trust Resiliency. Let's talk about trust. But before that, it's mandatory to put a quote from a famous person. So I guess many of you know this person. He's not here. It's our loss. He is not here for a simple reason, trust. He don't trust anyone. He feels that I can drive myself safely. He doesn't trust the pilots as well. So he's not here for that reason, okay? So trust. What trust deficiency looks like, okay? In global scenario, if you want to see what trust deficiency can result into, these are the two gentlemen. They don't trust many things, okay? Putin or Vladimir doesn't trust US and NATO, and he thinks that if Ukraine becomes part of that, then his sovereignty is threatened, okay? That's Vladimir. Here's Vladimir. He didn't even trust that spelling, so he changed his spelling, okay? So he thinks, he trusts NATO. He feels that I can even collide with Russia, and if something goes wrong, US and NATO will come to my help. So that's his trust, okay? And what's happening? There's a war which is happening, right? And when war happens, who suffers? Any guesses? It's the common people. It's us who suffers, okay? These are not the only people who suffered, okay? There are many other people globally who were not even in Ukraine. They also suffered. How they suffered? This is a story about that, okay? So, yeah, that's the message. Those who are not fighting the war, they suffer, okay? Let's talk about crypto wars. What are crypto wars? So historically, cryptography has been used as a tool, a political tool, either to restrict some countries' capabilities or pass on secret messages in times of war, etc. And today, cryptography is not about just managing the secrets, but it is totally opposite. It is about assuring a trust, okay? So if you are interested in crypto wars, I mean, you can have a lot of content over there. And because of crypto embargo, US had put a sanction on exporting any software which had RSA 512, any key which is greater than RSA 512 bit size, okay? Okay, cryptography is trust. Why cryptography is trust, okay? Some great person said that in the connected world, trust flows through TLS 1.3. So that great person is there, okay? Fine, so trust chain. Now, just try to understand how the trust flows in the internet, okay? Let's say, we have a website, let's say Cocon, okay? If I want to verify why my browser is trusting that site, I can go to Cocon site. Yeah, COC. That's the Cocon site, okay? Now, simple way how to check whether this site is trusted or not, or why my browser is trusting this site. You go to the logpad, okay, click on it. You can see that connection is secure. Why that connection is secure, okay? It says that you are securely connected, more information, okay? You can see that this certificate, okay? You can view this certificate. The site is trusted because there is a certificate, okay? So this is a certificate which was issued to Cocon. You can see here is the issuer name, who has issued it, okay? This was issued by Encryption Everywhere. Okay, so why we should trust Encryption Everywhere, okay? So there is an Encryption Everywhere's certificate, okay, which proves its own credibility, okay? So you can see that Encryption Everywhere certificate is trusted because it is signed by DigiCert, okay? Now why it becomes trusted if it is signed by DigiCert, okay? So there is a DigiCert certificate, okay? We go to that DigiCert certificate. You can see that DigiCert certificate, subject is DigiCert, issuer is also DigiCert. So what this means is this is a self-signed certificate, okay? So this is the Apex certificate. It means no one else has signed this. This is the root certificate, or this is a self-signed certificate where the chain of trust ends, okay? Now why should I trust this certificate, okay? So we should trust this certificate because this CA is a acknowledged CA, okay? All the browsers in the world who are providing TLS service, okay, or who are providing trust for the TLS service, they acknowledge this certificate and they bundle this certificate when you install browser on your device. Okay, so let me check that. Okay, this is said, but let me check. Okay, I will go to my Linux machine. This is my Linux machine. Okay, I will go to cat etc ssl SSL certs, okay? So here, there are all the certificates which my browser trusts, okay? And this particular directory is called as trust store, okay? So this is trust store on my Linux machine, okay? I can run, these are all the certificates that my machine trusts, okay? Or the browser trusts, and that's why they have established this in the trust store, okay? Now, let me see whether this certificate is trusted or not, okay? So I will check for this certificate. This is signed by DigiCert Global Root G2. Let me see if I have the certificate in my trust store. Okay, only then the chain of trust is established and it terminates over here. Okay, so I will just grab all the content for DigiCert. Okay, and you can see that these are all the certificates that my device trusts. Okay, and DigiCert Global Root G2. DigiCert Global Root G2. This is the certificate. Okay, this is a root certificate which is there in my trust store. Yeah, it's there. So, and that's why it is trustable. Okay. So this is how the chain of trust is established. Okay. Now let's come back to our presentation. Okay. Trust hegemony. Okay. We have seen trust, how the trust works, but there is something called as trust hegemony. Okay. This certificate which you saw is DigiCert, and DigiCert is not an Indian company. Okay. Which country's company is that? That you can definitely check out, but it's not Indian, okay? You check for any website. I was curious, I checked the certificate of NCIPC. Even that was not signed by the Indian CA, okay? So hegemony, so when Russia attacked Ukraine, all the CAs revoked all the Russian certificates, all the certificates of Russian entities. Okay, and they place them in an embargo. Okay, so like this DigiCert, you can see the list of sanctioned countries. So they have sanctioned Russia. Okay, these are all the domains which they have sanctioned. So they will not renew the certificates, or whatever existing certificates were issued, they were revoked. Okay, so all of a sudden one day, anyone who is accessing Russian sites, they were not able to access them. Okay, they were getting an error warning from their browser saying that the site is no more trusted, okay? Who suffered because of this embargo, okay? Can you guess who suffered because of this? Russian companies? Russian government? Okay, so it's the Russian people, who were accessing those services, they suffered. They couldn't access it, or their browser was shouting, okay? So what was the response? Russian government, they came up with National Certificate Center. This National Certification Center is Russian government-owned CA, okay, and they provided certificates to all the Russian entities, so that they can have at least a trusted certificate, not a trusted certificate, but a certificate which is not revoked. But that certificate was not trusted because that certificate was not trusted by all the browsers, and browsers didn't had put that or shipped that certificate on your laptop. Okay, so there is a long process to do that. So if we establish a CA today, and we hope that the root certificate of that CA is shipped to everyone, that's not going to happen overnight. Okay, and again, Russian government could provide a certificate, a valid certificate, but that was not trusted worldwide. Okay, so who suffered? Actually, all the people who were accessing those sites which were provisioned with Russian certificate, they all suffered. Why? Why they suffered? So everywhere in the world, these advisories came up that you shouldn't be trusting Russia's new root CA. Why? Because if I, as an Indian, take that Russian certificate, if I don't take that certificate and put it in my browser or trust store, I will get that warning that this certificate is not trusted, and my browser will not allow me to go to that site. Okay. Now, if I take that certificate, put it into my search store that I showed you, right? You will be able to access that site. Your browser will be happy. It will not complain. Okay. But is that advisable? Should you be taking any certificate and putting it into your trust store? Should you pollute your trust store? What are the implications of that? If you want to learn more about that, I had a talk done at Crypto Privacy Village in DEF CON in 2015. You can refer to that. But just to keep the discussion crisp, if you put someone's certificate in your machine, okay, then that entity might have a capability to do a complete TLS decipherment. Okay, they can decrypt all your TLS connections and see the content which is going through your laptop if they are sitting in between. Okay, now that is dangerous. Okay, now with this, who is suffering? The entire world is suffering. Now imagine if something of this sort happens with us. Now we are already in truce, in fight with a country, right? Canada, who is again part of a NATO alliance, right? And all the CAs in the world, they are either American or they belong to NATO countries. Okay, and if that NATO military alliance decides that we will be revoking all the Indian entities CA, no matter if they are operating from India or outside India, but if we revoke their certificates, then you won't be able to access any of these services. Your mobile will stop accessing those sites saying that I don't trust that site. Okay, and who is the sufferer? Us. We will be suffering. Okay, you won't be able to access your IRCTC because again, that site has a certificate issued by a foreign CA. Okay, so that will happen with us. We will not be able to access these services. Our companies, our organizations will not be able to function without the trust being intact, okay, in the system. Okay, so what we can do? Now this is a grave reality, but what we can do? Okay, now there are three main options. I will discuss each one of them. So at national level, what we should do is we should have a Indian certificate authority, okay, and it should be undisturbed. I guess you know what I mean by undisturbed, okay? And it should be managed predominantly by industry and community, okay? It's not that we didn't had any CAs previously. India didn't had any CA. It was not the case. We had, okay? But then our own mistakes, because of some unadvised practices, some misuses of the certificates or the capabilities of root certificates. Because of that, our CA's trust was revoked, okay? And any certificates issued by the CAA, Indian CAA, were not trusted. All the browsers decided that we will not trust this CA and issued certificate, okay? So that is something we suffered. Now, whatever Indian CA was there, now they are restricted to issue certificates only to selective entities. They cannot give certificates to all the entities, all the businesses in India, okay? They can give only to government entities, right? So that's the restriction that we have, okay? And even if there are other, like eMudra and all CAs are there, okay? Browsers can stop trusting them because they, again, are controlled by government, okay? So that's downside of it. That's why I said undisturbedly managed by community and the industry, okay? So that was a national level option. We will discuss more technical level options because that is something which is more in our hand, okay? Dual signing certificates. So I propose dual signing certificate. It means anytime you request a certificate, two CAs will sign it, okay? And both CA have to revoke it simultaneously with their consensus, okay? What happened in this case is, or normally what happens is, if you lose your private key, or if you feel your private key is compromised, you request your CA to revoke your certificate. Okay. In this case, no one requested CA to revoke their certificate. CAs themselves, okay, assuming the authority, they revoke the certificate. And this is nowhere written in any clause that CA has power to revoke your certificate. Okay. They unilaterally revoke that, and that's not a good practice. So we propose that dual signatures or multiple signatures for a certificate should be practiced. And when all the CAs revoke your certificates, only then the revocation will be practiced. Okay, and essentially those CAs, different CAs, should be diverse, not from same country or from same military alliance country. Okay, that is one. Second is cross-signing of certificates. It means this is cross-signing for root CAs. Okay, so when foreign countries are operating in this country, foreign country companies are operating in this country, they should be forced to use, or they should be advised to use certificates from this country. Okay, and if other country revokes certificates of our entity, we can do the reciprocal, we can take a reciprocal action. Okay, so that is cross-signing of certificates. Again, these are technical options, but that has to be practiced by competent authorities. Okay, then community-based options. We can set up a CA without borders. We can have a CAs that works globally without any influence or control of any political associations or countries, okay? If we have something of this sort, then that will be great, okay? And another option is build our own browsers. Build, maintain. Building is easy. Maintaining is very, very tough. And using. Okay, we all have said no to like Chinese goods. So similarly, we have to say that yes to Indian browser and start using that. So the trust is locally managed and we won't be suffering, okay? So these are some points that I wanted to put out in front of all you guys. I had choice to present this presentation somewhere else, but this is the best platform where all people from competent authorities, awesome people from the communities and the audiences like you are here, and this is the best audience where I can present this. Thank you for being here, and with this, I end my talk. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ajit sir.